States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're calling the August 4th, 2022 Village Board meeting to order. Roll call shows Peter is excused and Ally is out. For agenda changes, we will be moving 13 through 17 after the number 5, the consent agenda. We'll go to 5, consent agenda. A, July 21st, 2022 regular board meeting minutes. B, licenses and permits as presented. And C, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village as presented. If there are no questions, I would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call, Shauna.
Aye.
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 Stan, I wasn't here for the 21st meeting.
Aye.
Abstain. I was not here for 21st.
Okay, motion carried. We will now move to number 13 for a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make we're just doing B, is that correct?
Yeah.
I make a motion for the board to go into closed session under state statute 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved.
Second. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, we will then go to 14, 5-minute recess to clear the meeting room. We'll go to 17, any action on matters discussed in closed session? There are none. Then we will go back to number 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. There are none. 7, committee reports. There are none. 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. There's none. 9, new business. A, discussion and possible action on County M and Oak Street intersection review.
So you should have in your packet, the county's report on the intersection. We requested a 4-way stop sign. Their solution is to have the right turn no stop currently when you're going south on M. To not have that sign there that has a right turn no stop. So then it would be a 3-way stop, but traffic from the downtown to on M going north wouldn't stop. And then their idea is to add in other signage that basically tells you where the traffic does not stop from. Currently, the one sign, I know a few of the signs there that says traffic does not stop on M, which gets confusing at times. So it's traffic from the left does not stop, traffic from the right does not stop. So that's how they plan, that's their solution as of now.
And basically, they'll do all that new signage. They want this done before school starts.
Right.
And the county is meeting after our meeting tonight, and whatever we decide, they are meeting on next week on the 9th, I believe, did they say? Yeah.
I believe it is.
So. Are there questions?
So would there be a sign, and maybe it says it in here, I don't remember, on Nash going west saying oncoming traffic doesn't stop?
It would say traffic from and then whatever direction does not stop.
Because that's where it's been crazy for me a few times when I'm coming north on M and people expect you to stop. You know, even I put my turning signal on, and so it would.
That wouldn't change.
I get that, but I mean, is there gonna be a sign?
There should
For
be a
the-
sign under each of the stop signs
Saying,
of the other stop signs saying traffic from
right?
Right.
Go right, left, or straight
Straight
ahead.
ahead will not
Will
stop.
not stop.
Okay.
Oncoming traffic doesn't
Yeah.
stop.
That, yeah,
Oncoming,
that's what
that's
I'm
what-
asking, the oncoming one.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Any other questions? If not, we would need a motion.
Just to approve the review, or?
The three-way stop.
Okay,
We're approving it now to be a three-way
okay,
and to take away the except right turn.
okay. I'll move to approve the three-way stop on County Highway M and Oak Street and remove the no stop on the right turn going south on M.
Is there a second?
Did you say remove the three-way stop or add three-way stop? I was trying to figure that out when you were saying it.
Should I start over?
I don't know, maybe. I was trying to figure out what you were saying.
What did I say?
You said to approve the three-way stop.
Approve,
Okay.
okay,
And to remove the
that's
no stop on the right turn with signs to address, the traffic that does not stop.
And us making this motion, I guess my question is really doesn't do anything. It's the county that essentially is the one that
Right,
approves it.
they wanna make sure that the board is in favor of that change before they move forward on it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it is kind of up to them if,
Yeah.
Yeah, they may change it after we.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Nay.
Motion carried. B, discussion and possible action on vehicle protection plan for both admin vehicles.
this is a thing that I had to print out separately. It was offered to us from All World Ford. I guess instead of, basically what you do is you buy these protection plans. It's a 60-month protection plan. For one of the vehicles, it's $3,900 or $4,000. The other one is $3,900. And basically any of the components that are not out due to wear would be replaced at no cost. So the one at the $4,000 one is at 93,000 miles, and the one at 3,900 is at 71,000 miles.
What was the second one?
71,000 miles, and it's 3,900. The one that's at 71,000 miles is our 2014 Ford Police Squad, and then the other one was the 2016 Ford. So the 16 has the 90,000 miles, and the 14 has the 70.
What's the value on these?
Well, one of them was probably around maybe 8 or 6 because of the damage from the hail that we didn't fully repair.
The 16.
Yep.
6,000 to 8,000.
And then the other one, I don't know what you can sell it for, to be honest. There's a,
They've been kind of all over the board.
Yeah.
Although the benefit of that one there, it's got really low miles on it. So that value is an up charge when you look at NADA and stuff like that. So that's 1,200, 1,300, I think, plus that value. I don't know. What we're planning on doing here also, just FYI, is the reason for this is we are looking at keeping these vehicles for some time. So I look at a supervisor's vehicles, admin vehicle or something like that, 12 years at least. So this ensures that we can get out to that period, that year 2030, with these vehicles. We are putting a lot of miles on, however, it'd be nice to have a little, security if in fact something happens. They were old squads, so not sure what they were put through, but very high hours, I guess you would say, versus miles. 'Cause they do say,
Yeah.
yep, Long Island.
How much have how much have these cost us in repairs this far? Like how often are we spending?
Not much.
These ones, not much.
Not for us, yeah. On our side, I'm not sure on Chris's side what the repairs have been on it, but,
The 2016, when I came here, was a mess. There was radiator issues, there was heating core issues, there were tire issues, there was a lot going on with it. It just wasn't being taken care of. So all those repairs have been done. So that 2016 is in top notch. It has brand new tires on it when you guys got it.
Tires they're not covered here.
They're not
Yeah,
covered,
right.
but I mean,
I just wanted to make sure people
right,
knew that.
that's a good thing with that vehicle. The 2014, it depends. I mean, now we assign vehicles to each officers. Before it was, when I came, they just kind of, whoever wanted that car, they took that car. So they would just put a ton of miles on one car. That's why the 16's got so many miles on it. So the 14 was taken care of very well too.
the only thing we put into the 14 here is tires and brakes. And oil changes, obviously maintenance. That's pretty much the only thing we've done to that vehicle. So very little at this time.
So my concern is that you're looking at spending, so on, say on the 16th, they're gonna spend $4,000 to cover maintenance for a vehicle that is currently valued between 6 and 8. And then the 14 probably is valued even less, or probably somewhere close, actually. I think when we talked about it, we originally said it was somewhere between 5 and 10, and instead of selling it, we converted it over to an admin vehicle, right? Is that-
No, that's the other one.
That's the 16.
That's the
That's the
14.
16. The 14 was the first admin vehicle, and that one has no hail damage. I think you'd probably still get 15 potentially is what we were going to sell the other one for before the hailstorm happened. The issue is we haven't really sold an old police squad in a long time at this point. The last time we sold a vehicle, it was our old Ford Expedition that had a lot of running problems according to Carl at the time, and that we got $5 grand for, but
If you look at the market's all over the place on these vehicles.
Now that these are both admin vehicles,
yeah.
how many miles are we putting on these things?
I'm putting on a few.
A decent amount. I mean, we use it for running around during the day, whether it's going to the bank. Jane uses it for the post office as well. We use it sometimes for traveling depending on where we're going, for trainings. It's actually getting used a decent amount. When he's down, I sometimes have to meet people in meetings across town, so it's helpful to have too.
Hey Jim, I'm just looking on the internet here of where we can really get a good idea. 2014, 134,000 miles, $11,000. 2014 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor, 94,000 miles, $12,595.
Okay.
So we're near, all of them are 12, 11, 10. That's their value right now.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're not putting 2,000 miles a month on these things.
No.
Yeah.
Gosh, no.
So
That's
you're gonna
quite a
put
bit.
very low miles on them.
Right.
So and certain things certain of the, if you look at the big list here, navigation, even if the navigation went out on these, we really wouldn't care. Right?
Well, we
I
don't
mean,
have it in there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the only big expense that you have that's gonna cover this cost is if the transmission goes out. And the way they were driven before, where they just idle. And if you're not putting very many miles on, you might be better off to roll the dice and,
That one is a little bit more than just the transmission.
Suspension, electric, air and conditioning, steering, brakes. That is not.
well, no, I'm looking at
He's looking at the
I'm looking at the
gauge.
ones that would be more than what you're gonna pay for the,
Right,
for the re- for
right.
the repair guarantee.
Yeah.
Right, the only one that, the only
If you
one
want the extensive list, you can use this.
Oh, okay.
I only have one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, we did one with All World.
don't
Yeah.
really follow
Impressed
this
with all
so
the
much,
methods.
but that'll tell you a lot more
It didn't
with
cover
that,
what we
what's
thought it would
actually
cover.
covered on that.
The main reason, one of the reasons we're bringing this to you guys, I really don't have a preference either way. I really don't know the best answer for this.
I don't know,
So-
if it's the same company as, I mean, personally, we did one at that location here.
So they have two companies, one's just, we're using Zurich.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know which we
Okay.
had or which whatever, but we did not have a good experience, and that's a 2014 Edge that we needed some repaired on, and the actual dealership kicked in and covered some stuff because this wasn't. So I'm not, I mean, my kids drive a 2005 and a 2006, and I mean, we've been offered warranty, we just don't, I mean, I warranty on my car, very different.
We had one
newer.
on my car for a while, but, and it was great. I don't even know what the company was, but
Yeah.
bought it when we did it. And that one worked great, but I've heard, depending on
Yeah.
which company you go through.
You said Zurich was the better one?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know if that means that but was it All World that you went through?
Yes, and there was.
But they still helped
They
reimburse
actually needed
because of
to
the,
take the engine apart, and All World ended up covering it versus because of
Okay.
the dispute, yeah.
I
They
would-
made good on
I
it,
would
I'm
think they would probably
not,
do the same
you know.
thing,
Great.
I'm just,
but-
I look at the amount of miles that are put on, and I look at, you know, the resale value on it, I'm just not sure that you're rolling the dice is what you're doing, you're saying.
Well, right, I
We
mean,
anticipate rolling big repairs, but. we
yeah,
hope
I mean,
there
there's,
isn't.
there's no,
You're rolling the dice either way.
Yeah.
You can
We're
pay
better
now
off-
or pay
Yeah.
later, right?
Yeah.
right,
Spending that amount of money, or just if a big repair comes, we make a decision on the vehicle and we repair it and.
right, and that's,
That's where I feel,
I think if you roll the dice, consider you're maybe putting on, what, 500 miles a month,
you know,
somewhere in there, so
Mm,
6,000
I'd do
miles a
more
year.
than that, yeah, I'd
On
do-
average, combined across the board, you know,
Mm.
with, you know, 6,000 miles a year each. If one of them fails, has a major problem and has to have some significant work done to it, and we don't do either one for a plan, we still coming out ahead. So in order to lose, we'd have to have major repairs on both of them,
right.
Right.
yeah. So I would say I'm not a fan of the maintenance contracts with them. Unless we knew it was a lemon and we were having problems with it right now. And we're trying to take advantage of somebody else, but,
I don't think so, no.
okay. Then my vote's gonna be to say no.
What's everyone else's feeling?
I say no.
I'm fine with no.
do we need a motion just to not take
Yeah.
action at
Well,
this
there's
time?
no
Or you
motion.
need,
You can do a motion to deny it.
I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to deny a vehicle protection plan for the admin vehicles.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on asset management software.
So I'm hoping you got the, did we put that other quote in there? That's the.
We can.
Well, so
No.
that's the quote for our asset management software, through the current accounting company we have. If we wanted to, we had a quote from another company as well initially, and that quote, it was cheaper up front. I think it was around 2,000 something, and then it was 7,900 a year after in maintenance. So the amount was not what I wanted, so we went to the Civic Systems, which does our accounting software, and they work together. It's upfront is around I think you guys have the estimate with you on the packet, and then it's a 560 annual support. It potentially could help us not have to deal with the Duff and Phelps, which we pay yearly for our asset management,
Kroll.
Used Kroll last year.
Duff and Phillips is now Kroll
Oh, okay.
for our asset management.
That's around 1,300 or so per year is what we pay for that. This would allow us to kind of potentially do it ourselves, but it also has a huge benefit of allowing us to kind of log when we're doing updates on our streets, which we don't have, to log when we're doing, crack sealing and everything else. When we buy a piece of equipment and kind of looking at, what type of work we're doing to it, we can log it all through the system, through the invoices, rather than having to log it manually, which sometimes is done, sometimes it's not. So getting this, we would have to go through all of our streets and our old construction stuff and kind of look at what was actually done in what year, because we don't really have that listed somewhere nicely at this time, so.
If you look at the crawl, that should have been to you January, February, I think it was March or April is when that came in. So you guys had a copy of that at some point, but if you look within that Kroll document, a lot of this information's in there. What I originally looked at here was looking at an asset management software, looking at the whole gamut of life here, from generating work orders all the way to GIS. So whatever is done, that I can generate a work order and also have a map at the same time for everything that we are doing. Any asset we have, from a building to property in the open to any of our parks, streets, you name it. One of the things that we talked about here, got into it a little bit more, is actually pulling the financial part into this asset management. Brightly Software, at the time when I had spoke with them, they don't pull the civic system into their software. It would be nice to have one thing that just pulls everything into one document or one area, right.
A dashboard or whatever.
Absolutely, so that we all then can look at that and understand a little bit more of, hey, what is our assets? I remember giving you this thing from the CIP of what values are, and the only thing that came out of there, that's a lot of money, absolutely, but if you understand every asset we have, this will help you then into the future understand that, oh my gosh, this is $3.6 million? Absolutely, because this is what our asset is. And to manage that asset, how can we better manage that
Does
asset?
it track maintenance?
Yes. So both programs would do that. This, however, this system here will pull our civic into it using invoices. So it's a little bit more simpler. So if I have an invoice come in, for instance, a Cedar Street, or Miller Park, we have pay requests that come in that have to be approved. As soon as that pay request is put in, then that asset of Miller Park, then it automatically goes within
Linked
that
somewhere
asset.
to that
manage
asset
it.
by project number or something.
Yep, correct. So, looking at efficiency, instead of doing it here on this program and then coming over to another program and then coming over to another one, having another asset group come in to gather all of this information in for our PSC auditing, for the auditors, things like that, we have this and it's all integrated together. So that makes it simpler for all of us versus going to all these different programs and spreadsheets and things like that right now that we do for the auditing process, either through the PSC or even our auditors. So trying to streamline things a little bit, make life a little bit easier and more efficient that's what we're trying to strive for here.
Does this remove the need for that $1,500?
I don't know.
Or
It
that-
may,
is it Kroll?
the Kroll,
Yeah.
it may, no,
None
this
have-
is,
Yeah,
it may, because it's gonna pull all of that information in, and then, I'm not gonna say next year, but maybe the following year, yes.
Is it a matter of moving the data from one to the other? Is that the
I
reason?
don't know if the auditors need something specific necessarily in the asset management thing that Kroll does compared to what this will do. I don't know exactly if that would solve that. We believe it would, but I don't know for 100% fact, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm kind of skeptical about saying that it would. Cause
Not 100% on that, yes.
I think even if it doesn't do it, it allows us to maintain our records easier for submitting those.
Except then you have to put it in two systems?
No,
No, one system.
It's all through Civic, and then we would just send it to Kroll like we did the last year, that information all in one, where there's a lot of stuff that we have that might not be updated to the way that it should be, I guess, is the way to say it. I mean, we have a lot of streets where we don't know necessarily the last time we did a repaving on, where this would have that all listed. Once we went back.
Starting now.
Well,
And anything we could find?
right.
Correct.
I mean, we have records. It's just having someone to physically go through all those records to add those in is something that we're gonna have to do, so that we will be up to date. But,
So who would be responsible for updating, and then who would be responsible for maintaining the information?
so maintaining would pretty much all go through Cray for the most part, because it's just gonna be an invoice. So on our current invoices that you guys sign off on, we just put it in the code, and then he'd write another code on, and then I guess it would technically be the account payable person who would just add that code in when he's doing the invoice processing. So it's very simple, just another 3 digits that he adds in. As of inputting them into the system, it'll probably be a mix of myself, Cray, and potentially some of the
historical.
guys.
The historical stuff.
Some of the
correct.
guys from the Public Works, Water and Sewer, because also you're able to link it with your GIS potentially if we can, if our stuff all works correctly. So that we can actually know where our stuff is actually located in the ground. There's a few streets because, and this is a common thing across municipalities, the GIS systems aren't really always up to date because it's hard to afford a GIS person to actually do it, so,
Yeah.
but,
So we have paper records, basically,
yeah.
Jane, does this
Right.
need
right now,
any extra
which is
work?
really hard.
Right, and several different spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Lisa also has been, keeping records from the water and the sewer side of things for
Yeah.
this document also. So,
Reduces manual work.
oh yeah.
Instead of manual
absolutely.
tracking versus putting it in a centralized depository for.
Cause right now I have to go to four different places right now. If I have one invoice, I have to go to 4 different places for that one invoice. Just to keep track of that.
It's gonna
So,
help too for long-term planning to kind of know,
Build the information.
right, you're gonna be able to see what
What's
streets
the
are.
oldest street that we've,
Right.
when's the oldest street? that
Right,
we've-
and that type of information is awesome if you have I mean, it's not really needed if you have people who work here 24 years,
I
but.
was gonna say, this is Carl before this.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and
Well,
that's the
absolutely.
point, is this kind of keeps the village in a better spot if there is turnover, especially throughout the village, no matter what level of government, so.
Yeah,
What's the
absolutely.
life expectancy on the software?
we're like,
Constant update.
Like how do you
Right.
update, like,
So it's a constant update, so
Right.
so if we didn't update, for whatever reason, if we chose not, I mean, does it continue to work, or we are
If-
bound to paying that yearly fee for the support?
I mean, we're bound to pay the yearly fee. There's no update that wouldn't work. The I mean, it's the exact same software, it's just another module in our current accounting software. So if something happened with the software, we'd be already kind of screwed.
And is this information saved on a server we have here, or is it offsite somewhere, like something catastrophic happened here? Maybe this is more of a Jim question, but I'm just trying to think, like, worst case scenario, something happened, something got fried here. Is all that
I
gone?
believe it's in the cloud.
Yeah, it's backed up.
I
Our
think it's
server's
backed-
backed up.
Well, our server's backed up, but I believe it's all in the cloud. I would have to get verification, but I believe we have a backup cloud.
I just be
storage as
curious,
well.
cause it seems like an investment and something could
Time
take it out.
effort.
And I had a question for Jane with this. Jane, does this make your job easier, no different, harder? Does this impact you and like that
No,
treasurer? Okay.
no.
But I can tell you from working with Civic Systems for all the years that we've had it, when you call support, they're right there and they have solved every single problem I ever had. And the same thing with Lisa when she did water and sewer. And I'm sure you've used it. Support is very, very good with this
Yep.
system.
Didn't the auditors recommend better tracking of our assets?
Yes.
If I-
That is, yes.
Yeah, because I remember that coming up.
I forgot about that.
Right.
Could we find out?
It's,
Cause it shows an annual support, but the license fee
the license is a one-time fee,
is a one-time fee.
and then the annual support is every year.
Oh, okay,
So,
It's not
it's,
bad.
right.
okay.
I'd like to know, and I don't wanna hold up anything on this, but I would just like to know where that information, if it is indeed backed up, cause it sounds like it's gonna take a lot of hours to put all that in. And once it's in, is it backed up somewhere that if something happened here? that-
I would say 95% yes,
Yeah, I would
but
say so too.
I just,
I would say that question should be answered, and I also think that the question about, whether or not we still need, if it would meet the auditor's requests, would be one to find out, because then we can get rid of the other system.
Sure.
Completely. Why pay for that if we don't have to?
And
Right.
contact the auditor. Mhm.
you know,
That'd be easy enough. I know before, I even went to Clintonville, I did all the assets. Wherever I was at, I did it, and it was through a GSP 34 program. And, that was always then given to the auditors and that, so we never had a separate group or a separate contract, to do a lot of that stuff, so.
I mean, if civic software is covered, I would guess that this is good for that too, but I don't know. Just a question to ask for,
Oh, absolutely.
rather than reinvesting in the other one,
right,
because that offsets some of the costs of the,
the initial
Deal.
hit, yeah.
So is that something that we can, you guys wanna look into and just bring it back to the next meeting?
That's up to you guys.
Or would you prefer to make the motion and have them find
Contingent
out?
on
And
that.
if there's something that isn't what we agree with, then it would have to be brought back.
What's easier?
But otherwise, make it a go
I,
sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna hold anything up. I just think of those two questions.
I mean, it would be nice to get it sooner so we can start logging stuff, but,
And then you basically could find out the questions that are being asked and email us.
right, but I guess, so if it doesn't solve the,
backup, and it doesn't solve the audit issue.
well, the backup, like I said, I mean, it has all of our accounting stuff the same way,
Yeah.
because it's all in the same area.
So just informational on that.
Right,
And then the
I'll
other
just
one,
get
but I would
detailed.
argue that the audit thing would be a question.
would that be a game changer though, if it doesn't affect that for you guys?
Well, then I'd like to know from the auditor what they recommend. You know what I mean? Like
Well, I mean, it's
they told
gonna,
us.
it's gonna be, so it's either gonna be us keeping track in an Excel spreadsheet, or, I mean, even the auditors, I mean, Kroll could use this, I know for sure, and I'm pretty sure that this would cover it, but, I mean, even if it doesn't, is that really the, like, the reason to not go forward on it, or?
We need better management here, and I think that's our bottom line, with this, is we need to have a better
Either way,
asset management.
this replaces Excel spreadsheets, right? No
All
matter
right.
whether it's
A ton.
audited or not.
Right.
Our archaic way of doing things somewhat.
Or,
Yeah, I mean, for,
Yeah.
what's the worst case scenario? $4,000 and we don't.
$4,000
do
that
after
we already have in the CIP for software.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That, and then we're paying an extra $560 a month.
maybe we should just
Well,
do
that's
it and
throwing me
then
on too, though.
look at the answers.
Because I'm not on civic system. Isn't that part of me getting thrown on also?
No, that's separate.
Oh, that's separate, okay. I thought that was bundled.
No.
See, I'm not on the system right now either, so this would pull me
$560 a
in
year,
$560 a year added to our current,
yeah.
current.
You
said
said
$560 a month.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna question, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what it says here.
Oh.
Yeah, that would change my opinion too.
Yeah, that would be a big deal.
I think it's a great
That's a lot.
idea, I think those.
I mean, I can
yeah.
get the answers to those questions, I just,
Oh, sure.
I'm just
I think
wondering,
we should
is
just
it
do it
really?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the asset management software from Civic Systems in the amount of $4,000 plus the $560 annual support.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. D, discussion and possible action on replacement of roofs from hail damage.
I'm just writing these questions down, so.
No, that's fine, I didn't. I remember what you put in the-
So you should have like a little summary between the the only two quotes that people would give us. I think we reached out to about 7 companies and only 2, and one of them we had to force to give us a quote. And then basically it goes through our insurance company of what they're gonna cover. So they took the 2 quotes and basically they kind of said that they want us to go with security loop key. The issue is they're not gonna cover any of the, what they call cosmetic damage on the downspouts, gutters, fascia. So that's why it's at $294 is what the insurance company is willing to cover. So I guess that, you know, one of the questions that we can ask is basically, do we want to still have some of the gutters and downspouts paid for and add that in on our cost? Or are there certain ones you want to, certain ones you don't?
Which buildings have gutters and downspouts? Maybe I'm missing that.
Everyone,
All
all
of
of them.
Oh, did they say?
Of some,
Except for some of the park stuff. Like,
so well 1, well 2, you're looking at,
Our insurance doesn't cover any metal roofs.
yeah, the
So-
other thing too. Yeah,
I get the downspouts, cause that's a 50/50 on most insurance companies. They try to make them reuse them. Half of them say don't reuse them because they never match up. So they just replace them, but the gutters are not cosmetic. They're all banged to crap and they'll collect and rust and the paint's cracked in them and they're damaged.
so our insurance company is hanging their hat on a lot of that being cosmetic. You
Yeah.
know, and I look at it kind of structurally too, so if you have dings and dents, it holds up the water from actually going down the gutter and whatever else, you're absolutely correct. I think that becomes a little bit more on the structural side. So I understand that they're saying because of aesthetics that is cosmetic. I think for us, and especially the fascia, when you have a building such as this, I don't think we wanna see this building look ratty, because we didn't get the insurance money to fix something. I think that's the biggest thing. We do have some other structures, it's like, yeah, it really doesn't matter on that, but we don't want to have buildings just looking terrible out there, just because we didn't get that insurance money and we just didn't wanna fix it. So, I think that's a quandary we have right now. For instance, this is something we can look at here a little bit and think, on our facilities, committee, and that is our little gazebo down at Veterans Park. That's a lot of money for something like that. To repair what's existing, it's not worth. So that 10,000 that's towards something like that, we could probably, hopefully, maybe do something a little different at Veterans. To fix what we have currently down there, it's not worth doing that. So that's, I think we need to look at that a little closer. Well, number one, that's gonna be there for a long time. We aren't looking at any updates with well number one down at Miller Park. I think that's important to have that looking and aesthetically and also structurally sound for that. Couple of the buildings down at the wastewater plant, I'll say this, that personally, that maybe on a couple of the structures, but the other structures are, I wouldn't worry about them. Things that we're looking at down the road in replacement of, or doing something different. It's inevitable in whatever year it's gonna be to replace certain things down there. As long as we aren't causing damage to anything on the interior that's gonna elevate the cost of replacement of, let's say, vehicles, equipment, so on and so forth. I think that's something we need to look at a little closer. For instance, well number 2, we are looking at upgrading well number 2. It's still in non-compliance. Even though that we've done some things to it, it's still in non-compliance, so that's gonna have to be replaced. So, flip a coin on that one. If there is water damage because of the shingles on top of that, of things on the interior, yes, we have to replace the shingles, absolutely. Fascia, here again, it's in a park setting. Do we wanna change the fascia, the gutters, things like that? So them are the questions that we have of you guys here, what you wanna do. We've got X amount of dollars, but we're looking at, what, 45?
I think it was 45,000 was the.
So is it because the insurance and the adjuster, they said this is what, because, I mean, our insurance, our adjuster said this is what's covered. Our contractor, along with some legal counsel, has helped, and now, instead of covering just half of our downspouts, they're covering all of them. Instead of not covering the gutters, they're covering all. So I mean, have we talked to some legal counsel to?
Not legal yet.
Okay.
We've talked with the contractor potentially,
Okay.
but
There's a whole lot of claims that they're getting right now, and these adjusters,
Right.
they're churn and burn right now, and I get that. But I look at that and go, okay, that's what they're initially telling you, but even
Right.
with a tornado,
Negotiate.
we ended up with.
They do, people are.
Exactly.
People
Right.
are.
And we had that discussion also. I think they're just going, yeah, here you go, Jim's looking at a truck, this is what it is. Well, guess what, we're gonna negotiate on this, we need to negotiate on it. I believe in this case here, I would agree with that we need to do something a little
Yeah.
bit more. I guess the question is,
I have more to that though. So the other question is, so if we choose not to do a roof, and we choose not to do something, and we took that claim, are we in any way obligated to prove that we did the repair? I mean, is there anything, doesn't this building still have a loan? So we have a mortgage holder that is going to
Well,
be
I
asking
mean,
if we've done.
so the only one that we wouldn't do,
Okay.
except for the gutters, would be the Veterans Park.
Okay.
We're
That's
doing
pretty
all
much
the
the-
roofs.
So the
right,
Veterans Park,
It's-
does it have a ton of damage? Like, okay, so that gazebo was built with donations.
yeah.
So there are people out there who are still tied to that, okay? So is it something that we could look at getting donations? Does it need to be repaired, or is this just cosmetic to that roof?
Well, I mean, they're giving us 10,000, my guess is it
It
is
needs it,
just,
okay.
I mean, if you've gone over there lately, it's just,
But if we get paid by the insurance company, should we at least be paying for, or we're asking? I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to.
I guess
We could do a full repair.
you could always do a new type of
Different something.
pavilion with
I
it,
get
I
it.
would think.
I just know that I look at these numbers, these are big numbers, and I think there's so many people that were in a rush to get new roofs, and they accepted whatever the insurance told them.
Right, and
I
we're
think-
still in negotiations, it's just,
Yeah.
You gotta.
it's hard to get into negotiations when you don't have a contractor
Yeah.
approved yet. So that's kind of what this is for, is really talking about approving the contractor as security loop key.
Okay.
And then
And
going
negotiate
forward
the
in
rest of it.
negotiations, But we wanted you guys to kind of think about which buildings you would think that we should be repairing. If they don't cover the rest of it, which ones you would want to potentially, like this building, repair
I think it's too
regardless.
early to say that
Yeah.
without knowing.
I'm not asking for it. I want
I
you
mean, I would
to,
choose security Lukey, but I would just.
right, I'm talking about letting you
don't know
guys
if
think
they're
about it
gonna-
over the next few weeks until we
That's one
get
scenario.
answers.
Does our insurance company have a deadline? I know some people are saying a year.
364 days
Okay, so
by law.
security, if
We do have
go
2
with-
years, up to
with
2 years.
them, they can guarantee they would have it done within that year?
They said they would have, I even asked them, because I was worried about this building being done before the end of the year, and they said they would be able to make it work.
So we can get that in writing?
Yeah, it would have to be part
Oh,
of that
it has to
contract.
be in writing.
Mhm. Well, we signed a contract, but
Yeah.
I know that state law says it's 364 days, and the insurance policy
To
may
have it
state
done?
differently too.
To have it done by 364 days after,
No,
or
I believe having
put the claim in by,
Put your claim in, 364 days to
Yeah.
put the claim in, so then you still have that time.
to find.
They
somebody
issued
to
us,
do
they
it.
issued us a bunch of checks. Okay, but I now have 180 days from that check issue to sign a contract, but it still might be 364 days before yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
And I think the maximum is 2 years.
Mhm.
And
People are in
there
such a
is
rush.
rumor that there's a
Yeah.
shortage coming up on shingles,
Oh.
which we can understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But because we're not the only community that needs roofs.
Right. A
So
lot of it's coming from south. and
what
They're pushing a
happens?
lot of that
Yeah.
supply up.
So
now.
what
Sitting
happens
back.
then? Are they giving us, we need guarantees,
We do, it's a contract.
Yeah.
okay.
That's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what this is, a contract. I mean, granted guarantees on the time they're gonna have it done, maybe not. You can get it in writing that they're gonna try to get it done by the beginning, the end of the year, but,
The insurance is choosing,
hmm?
the insurance is
Right,
saying we prefer security, whatever, so.
it's still,
right. Because they think that the other one was way overpriced.
Great.
So yeah, I would take a look at security routine. But you just gotta do some
Right,
legwork into the, what the policies say. If you don't get something fixed, we do get depreciated value or what you do. And also to negotiate with them to get them to cover things that aren't necessarily cosmetic from, they may want to say are cosmetic, whatever.
Right,
Right.
But yeah, do we need a motion or something?
yes.
To begin negotiations using Security Lukey as a contractor, or what do you need?
Just,
Well, to move forward with Security
With
Lucas as a
security,
contractor
right.
for the roof replacements.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move forward with Security Lukey, as a contractor for the municipality's roof repairs, or storm damage repairs.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 alright.
Motion carried.
Can I just ask a follow-up question? Will all these details with buildings, that kind of thing, is that gonna be possibly in the public facilities meeting at some point where we have more details?
Not
Yeah.
just the summary.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have everything.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, then we'll go to E, discussion and possible action on drone policy.
I'll take this one. I was asked by, I believe it was Jim, to bring the drone policy. This is a policy that was created by Alexapol. Alexapol is the company that we use that drafts all of our policies and procedures. It's done by a company of attorneys. I don't know, Jack, if you reviewed the policy, pretty much everything that we were taught in class in the last 2 weeks. It's a same identical policy that APD has.
I'll apologize, I have not had a chance to go through it. And I personally would like to take the time to go through it before do anything with it.
Do we normally
I've just
approve
been very busy.
policies?
No, you don't.
This is, so this is an ordinance, this is a policy, and we normally don't, so I can't. I
It
have
was
to admit-
asked at the time of the purchase that it be brought to the board before, as part of the motion in the purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's highly recommended to electable that you don't change and alter their policies, because then you basically are up for legal liability for changing their policies. It's their policies that attorneys are putting together. So this policy, it's kind of like the ATV, UTV policy that we, or not policy, ordinance that we came, it was reviewed by several attorneys. You have multi-jurisdictions in the state of Wisconsin that have that ordinance. This policy is the same that anybody that's got a drone in the United States probably has this policy. That same identical policy.
So do you need a motion to accept this, or we just,
We don't normally make a motion to approve policy, I guess, I don't know, I mean, if we have questions, this is the time to ask. I mean, I like how it lists the prohibited use and the, you know, it is generally used, but I like the fact that it lists out some prohibited uses, which I think satisfies some of the fears people have with drones.
Right. And a lot of the policy is FAA policy. There's a lot of stuff that they allow us to do, and there's a lot of things that they don't allow us to do. So, like I said, this policy is written by attorneys with the assistance and the guidance of the FAA. It was kind of nice because the first day that we went to the class, it was like information overload. Because I hadn't looked really at the policy, I knew the policy was there. And I wasn't really concerned about it because I knew that the policy was the same policy that APD had. So, but then when I started reading it and I came to class on the second day, and it was like, it just all made sense because that was everything that he was explaining was all in this policy.
so this is basically information for us?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
Did they cover anything in your training about, flying over private property?
It says privacy, 606.3.
I'm sorry? It says,
In 606.3, it talks about state statute. These drones are basically, and it says it throughout the whole policy, these drones are not gonna be used for investigations. These drones are gonna be used for fire calls, they're gonna be used for people who are walking away from care partners with dementia. They're being used for people who are missing. There was just an incident, a few weeks ago, in Chiacton, on, Old 54. They had a dementia, 84-year-old dementia man who had walked away. They found him, believe it or not, what was it, 150 yards or feet away from his home. If they wouldn't have found him that night, he would have died that night. There was another one, there was, in Wapaka, they found a 6-year-old child that had walked away from the house, and they found her in an abandoned building at 2 a.m. So these are heat-seeking, so if you're looking for, you know, those types of things. I've been in law enforcement for 27 years. We've had, and I don't know, the heat guns where you can point them, we've taken those out to accident scenes because we think that maybe there's a person that was thrown from the vehicle. We can use these drones to fly over those scenes to make sure that, you know, that there's nobody missing. If there's a car seat in a car and it looks like there potentially could have been a child in there, we can put the drone up, we can go around, and we can make sure that that child hasn't been thrown from that vehicle.
But what you're saying for privacy, it's not like anybody's willy-nilly with a drone surveying
No.
people's property looking for ordinance violations
No.
or.
They can't be used you can't use them for like your, national night out event. There's very, very strict guidelines, of when you can use these.
Some departments are using them for lost dogs. Water rescue, somebody goes in, you know, into the lake. We had that incident where we thought what was it, 2 years ago, somebody
Snowmobiles?
had fallen through, you know, things like that. Because you can actually, by flying the drone over, they demonstrated to us, you could see how long the vehicle was parked. So depending upon,
And cover a lot more ground.
yeah,
Big time.
so they're just a useful tool in our toolbox, for locating basically missing people.
So how many people got qualified?
So we had 4, how many did you have? 10?
8 the first night, 10 the second.
Okay. So we need 3 more. Lauren Steinacker has his Part 107. Basically with a Part 107, he can fly a plane. So he can be like a training officer. So in the fall, he's talking about training our last 3 and then a couple more with the fire department.
Yeah, we got
So-
roughly 10 more that we're running train, half our department.
And then we would have the drone in the car. And that way then, if we ever needed to put it up, you can automatically just turn it on and let it go.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do we need, so we don't need a motion on this, this is just
No,
sort of
no, this is
informational, so, okay.
Just a request before it went into services, that we had some written policy.
And I'll let you know more. I think it'd be cool to do a demonstration. You know, once we get our COA, so we have to apply for the COAs. Those take 60, it could take up to 60 days to get that approval, which is from the FAA. So,
Thanks, Chris.
All right, then we'll move to F, discussion and possible action on veteran graves payment approval for the county.
This is done every year, we just need approval. And we send it off to the county and then they send us the check. It's a reimbursement.
So you're just looking for a motion to request the $298.65? Is this what, okay.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to request Outagamie County reimbursement for, the veteran graves payment in the amount of $298.65.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. G, discussion and possible action on McMahon agreement for professional services.
So this agreement here is for the wastewater treatment plant. This is part of the DNR requirements for 2022. The requirements are to have a progress report. The main emphasis here is on our phosphorus, that regulations that are going to be coming down the pike here in 2026. So it's an evaluation report that we submit to the DNR annually. And I believe this has been going on for the last 2 years, prior to me coming on board also. So McMahon has been our source for this for the last quite a few years. And so requesting approval to continue on this agreement so that we can have this report then completed and sent to the DNR. Once that's done and that I can get that in front of you, actually what the operation evaluation report is, where we are sitting, other alternatives is part of this report, things like that. So it's kind of this progression of what we're looking at for the wastewater treatment plant. So there is a scope of services within the contract there if you want to see exactly what that is. So this document here will prepare draft compliance alternatives, source reduction, improvements, and modification to status report. And then again, review that report with us. And it's something we have to do, for the Department of Natural Resources under our, WPES permit. So it's something we have to do annually.
I need a motion to accept this agreement. All right, I'll make a motion to accept the agreement for professional services from McMahon.
Second.
Roll call, Shawna?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. H, discussion and possible action, paving quote for municipal service center.
So, something that was discussed even before I came on board, and, something that we're looking at here a little bit closer. And I looked at here also that, we need to increase our parking, out here, every day, and it's a great thing that, you know, we have a lot of people coming into the community here and stuff, so, us employees are still, some of us are still parking out front, and we just don't have the room out front so much. So we looked at the area in the back there, and we need more room back here. Maintenance nightmare in the spot back here. So I don't know if you guys have been back here and seen where the cones are at. We've taken out, because of some maintenance issues, it's ugly. Grass wouldn't grow, it's just terrible. So I'm thinking we need more parking back here. Nathan and I, everybody, we've been talking about that. We need a little bit more room, including around the police officers back here too. So when everybody's here, that's full. It would be full. So what you have in front of you is two quotes. Wolf River Paving and then again MCC. I thought we're doing a lot with MCC here right now. In our contracts and that, I thought maybe I'd get an additional bid out there from Wolf River since they are close. So obviously MCC is a lot cheaper and we do have the money for it, and I would suggest approving MCC for the paving of this.
And maybe I missed it, Craig, but where's the money? Is it a CIP kind of thing, or was the money?
It's in the maintenance account. It's not in the CIP.
Okay.
General fund.
General, yes.
How many stalls does that add?
I think it's estimated around 6 with a potential 7th that if it's needed, an overflow area.
So just under, or just over $1,000 a stall is what you're, like, and it's only parking back here, it has nothing here.
Yeah, it has nothing to do out front.
Nothing out
It extends the ones out here where it's a little tight for our staff. That's part of why some of them won't park back here, is their vehicles, like, can't make the radius because it's really tight.
Yes.
So, yeah, it'll just give us a little more space back there to move, not hit each other.
Aren't y'all get compact cars?
Yeah.
That's what I
Come
said,
on.
but they didn't like that.
No.
Cars where you just push a button and it
Yes.
automatically parks, yeah.
I had Chrissy drive my car one day and she couldn't get it into the stall, so she just like parked it right in the middle. Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I don't wanna hit anything.
I wonder if
It-
angle parking
it was
back there
tight.
maybe.
It was
is-
tight, it's very tight.
Angle parking would be,
Well, I mean, not really, because then you're only allowing on one side.
because how
I
do you
mean,
back out, I suppose?
Yeah, so part of this is
Yeah,
pushing
yeah,
up
yeah.
one of the stalls that's next to, or this, 4 or 5 of the stalls that are right next to the, storage shed out there, and kind of extending it. And then the other is extending towards our HVAC system by his office area. And then the rest is by the PD area, so there'll be really very little maintenance we have to do in our areas. And we're not shooting rocks with our lawnmower. Or when we're clearing out snow.
Yeah. Maintenance nightmare, it'd be constant if you want it to look good or whatever, and that is just, it's just been junk and mud and whatever, and we, yeah. Paint it, be done with it, then we don't have to worry about it.
I know it's hard to maneuver the van sometimes.
Oh, that's right, you drive the
Get out
van,
of the
yes.
garage, you know, cause there's, yeah,
where the garage was placed was actually a little too close,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Correct, it should have been back a little farther. Absolutely, and
So I
so
can
parking
speak
the
to
van, yeah, absolutely. That's gonna give us a little bit more room to maneuver into the garage. Yeah, absolutely.
Alright.
You know,
I'll make a motion to approve the paving quote from Municipal Services Center to MCC for the amount of $8,006.25.
Second?
Roll call, Shawna.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Aye, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
I have something. Without any discussion tonight, but I've heard some rumors that we're gonna start charging boat launch fees on the kayak launch. And so I'd like the board to have that opportunity to discuss that. But I don't want the agenda item specific to just the kayak launch. I want it maybe worded as public access points to the lake. Because there's the boat launch and then there's also some fishing piers, things where everybody enjoys the lake. And if we're gonna talk about, assessing users, I'd like, the opportunity to talk about how everyone uses the lake in different ways. So I don't know how that needs to be worded, I just don't want it specific to the kayak launch.
so public launch sites,
Or public access points on the lake,
access.
I think that's maybe the best way to word it, I don't wanna corner us just to the kayak launch. But I also wanna dispel any rumors too, so. Thank you.
Anything else? We'll go to 10, report of village officials. Clerk treasurer,
My report was in the packet. We did get the Badger books, and we are going to be using them for August. That's the electronic poll book. They're pretty slick. They're very user-friendly. The election workers are excited.
Little things.
Are they really, though? Are they
Little
really?
things.
They are.
Donuts, cookies, Badger books.
Right up there.
any other questions for Jane? If not, we'll move to D, Director of Public Works.
Not in your packet, but I did put one in front of you, my report. A lot of things going on here. Probably didn't cover everything, just briefly, and I'm just doing things here briefly for you. Miller Park, we're about 98% complete on that. For the most part, it is finished. We have two issues. One is the swale, and then also our lights for the parking lot itself, they're not in yet. And anticipation, within the next week here, they're supposed to be in. So as soon as the lights come in, shipped in, or whatever, that the company will be putting them up. The lights do work out in the court, and it's by a timer. So just FYI, there is lights there for the courts right now. It's just on the timer. You just gotta turn it for that.
I saw people using those all weekend.
Oh my gosh. It's
Tennis
being
and the
used,
pickleball.
yes. Extremely.
Do we
Oh,
have lights for the parking lot too?
The other thing
That's
here
what he's talking
that I forgot to mention on here too is we are actually putting gates up. What is happening is that when you hit the ball or something like that, guess what? It shoots right out. So how that configuration of the entrances are, we're gonna put gates up there to kind of keep the balls in the court here a little bit. So there's 3 gates that are gonna be put up. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because the main entrance there's gonna be 2 gates. So it's gonna segregate the courts also. We looked at that because of also safety. If somebody's playing tennis, they hit the ball, he comes into the pickleball court, somebody steps back, they might lose their footing or whatever. So hopefully it'll keep that from happening. So there'll be 4 gates that'll be installed. Sign. I don't know if you guys have seen this, been by there, but the sign is in. I think it looks really good. I like it. We're gonna enhance this somehow or another. I'll be coming back to you on this. I'd like to do a little landscaping around the bottom side of it. Something simple, nothing fancy. If you guys have suggestions, email me, call me, anybody, you know, if they have some ideas, what we can do with this. I have some ideas, we have materials, like to utilize the materials, you know, cause basically, we've already paid for them, things like that, so, but I'll be bringing that back to you guys, if in fact they're, maybe even for approval if you like the design of it, and then we can go ahead and do such, so. The next part, Black Otter Park, Tuesday, we finished the corn crib. I don't know if anybody has seen this, or stopped down by there. It's great, it actually looks unique in a way. Different, absolutely, but we're not done with that, we need to do some landscaping around that, we're planning on doing that tomorrow. Getting so that people can walk up to it and what have you. Also in here, I'm looking at somebody that is very artistic, I need somebody to repaint the sign. Whoever is artistic, that sign's fading, so it's just the green and the blue and stuff like that. I think we need to update that, take a little bit more, a better look, or how you want to say this, maintenance. I mean, we can't have this ugly thing just sitting there or whatever. So I'm looking for somebody, if they want to paint this, repaint it, that's what I'm looking for. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. I'm thin.
We discussed the boat landing sign at a bold meeting. And I think Al was going to talk to, see if there was an Eagle Scout that would want to take on a new sign. I'm wondering if could consider doing both. Might be worth considering. I heard that, Nathan. My
Well-
hearing is really good for certain voices.
And Nathan's having, how nice that it's Nathan's voice, yeah.
The Eagle Scout projects, they have to do fundraising and stuff.
Yeah.
They can't just, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's,
so we'll-
it's a little bit more, you know more about this than I do. I haven't had anybody approach me yet on a project.
Yeah, I know
So-
there's more involved with the
Or
fundraising.
high
and
school
stuff.
that needs community service hours.
Well, absolutely, you know,
Yeah.
community service hours, you know, that'd be awesome.
Go to the high
Yeah.
school, they got
Go to the
kids
high
that
school art
have
department.
art departments, and they have like their,
Yeah.
You ever been?
for what it's called, but the
They
reconnect
do.
whatever project you
Mhm.
have.
Yeah, cause each kid has to put in 40 hours, before they graduate, 40 hours of, community service of some sort.
So we also have the Wolf River Art League, based out of kind of that New London area, but I think there could be somebody potentially that might be very artistic that would take this on too.
I need people to do this kind of stuff, so,
So we
not all of us
Still
are
in
artistic,
high school?
so.
I don't know if there's still an art club at the high school.
This would probably take an artist probably 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But then looking, I mean, there's other things on the sign too. I did look at it the other day, and there's other things on the sign. It just needs a good refresh.
It needs a
And a
refresh.
seal, and a good clear
Mhm,
coat.
and a really good seal, yeah.
So, Black Otter.
Okay.
Cedar Street project, the reconstruction of, I wanna give you a quick update on this. I did write this down here for your guys' approval, people that may be listening, or looking in on this. We started last Monday. We removed the asphalt, removed concrete that needed to be removed. There was the staking of the water and sewer that had happened this week, and materials have been moved in, for the water main sewer, storm sewer. Monday, we're planning on Immels, who is the contractor, for the project, is starting on Monday. So we're starting out with the sewer, and also looking at temporary water service for some of the homes that are up there. Majority of people have been contacted in regards to this project, and especially if we're gonna take water from a house and put it to other homes and things like that. So we've got approvals, and so the process is going. Tuesdays are critical moment here, where we have to shut the water tower down for a few hours. We have procedures that we have to do, and to follow this. valves, you name it. So basically Tuesday morning is very critical for us to shut the water tower, put in the valve, and actually put in a good extension of the water main before then we can turn the water tower back on. Could go awry, and I hope it doesn't. So knock on wood, absolutely. Immels is very good. We've been talking about this. We're gonna do another dry run on Monday so that if something does fail within this system here, we're all gonna have to go on a boil notice. I don't want that. We don't need to go that route. So this is gonna be very, very important that we do it right.
I got a question. So if Jack's here, and that's good that he's here, but has the fire department and
No, that will not be
Okay.
affected. Because right now, our wells are on automatic,
okay,
okay? What we're gonna do is actually turn well number 1 on manual. So it's gonna be constantly going through the system. Thus, we have to put a relief valve out in the industrial park because we are running this manually, that a certain PSI, it'll blow off.
okay.
So that it's not gonna blow out our system.
So it doesn't affect the fire department, that sort of
Nope,
thing, if we had a
it
fire
should
in
not.
town, okay.
No.
Alright.
Well number 2 will be shut off. If there is a fire, then we can look at doing something a little bit different and actually turn on well number 2
Okay.
for that. So, nope, that should be not an issue,
Okay.
when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Figure if nobody asked, we'd have a fire, but if somebody asked, then we
Well,
won't
we
have.
better not have a fire.
So there you go. Okay,
Anyway, so that's what's happening next week. We're gonna work on the water. Immels is planning, and we're hoping to have it done by the end of the week. It may go into the following week. Look at the schedule here. We are looking at concrete replacement then, following Immels. And that may be 2 weeks out to get the sidewalk, curb and gutter, approaches, everything in. There is something here, and I'll talk to you guys sometime about this. We may be up, how do you want to say? This project, we're looking at the 19th for completion. We may be potentially a week or 2 ahead of schedule. There's some things that we found up here that we may not have to do within the contract and to save money in the contract. So, and I'll go over that a little bit more with you once we start getting into the digging portion of it. So, what I've seen out there has been a plus, along with contractors. I think we might be able to save some money on this, so just, so hopefully, knock on wood on that one too. Otherwise, I guess you can read the rest of what we have here. I didn't put anything in my report, I forgot to do this also about Wildwind. EBS portion of it, we did excavate the areas that needed to be excavated. Now we have to dig the subgrade in 2 spots. That will be happening, I believe, next week. Then we're gonna pave the patches. Concrete has to go in, and then we'll do the final surface on that. So just FYI, and that should be happening in the next 2 weeks. That's it.
Any questions for Craig? Okay, then we'll move to C, Police Chief.
My report is in the packet. And here we had National Night Out on Tuesday. Bless you. Sergeant Barr and Chrissy were the event organizers. They did just a heck of a job. However, we know definitely next year we're gonna need more food. More food, more food, more food. Events just get bigger, or people are coming with bigger appetites. And one of the things that sets us aside from other municipalities is that we provide free food. A lot of them have food available, so then they can purchase it. So, and we have the dilly bars. Everybody looks forward to the dilly bars. My grandson was there. He couldn't get him out of the fire truck. He's going to be a firefighter someday. He was in and out, in and out, in and out, so he was having a blast. It was cool, the firefighters were actually all in their gear, it was hot that night, and they were walking around with their tanks on and everything, so it was cool to see EMS, had a station there, it had mannequins with 3 EMS there. People were doing the compressions, so they were teaching them the compressions and stuff like that, so at Bouncy House, the DJ is no longer doing weddings anymore, they're retired, but they have us on the calendar for the next umpteen years. So, yeah, it was good. We're planning a bike rodeo, it's gonna be on Thursday, we're gonna have it out here. So we'll partition off this part of the parking lot all the way back here, so we'll be doing that with the library. ATV, UTV signs, a majority of them are up. There's 4 or 5 of them that we still have to do. Colton called in for the locate one day last week. I see he cut off the poles
Yeah, they were all done.
today. Yep, finished those up. So, yeah, we're just waiting for just a couple signs. It's one on Double M, another one on Grandview. There's a couple out on Greendale. Other than that, we haven't really had any problems.
I have a question, Chris. When you're coming on Industrial Park up to Double T, it says no ATV, UTV on Nye Street.
Right.
All the way
Right.
to M? There's no,
All they can do is cross industrial, all they can do is cross Double T.
oh,
So you cannot ride an ATV all the way from the village limits west, all the way to Midway. That's a 45-mile-an-hour speed zone. We would
Midway
have to-
back into town, you can ride them.
Yep,
Past
So
your-
from Midway into town.
midway into town you can though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was confused about, because I thought you could, but it says not on
And
Nye
once you hit
Street.
Midway,
You
the
can't.
speed limit goes to 45.
I understood that,
You know, I have a question.
but it says not on Nye
If you
Street
go
at
out-
all.
On Greendale,
You can cross the road there, but you can't.
hit
turn
Spring,
Can you go left?
from-
they have a 55-mile-an-hour sign, it's Greenville. And underneath it, they have ATVs 35 miles an hour.
Okay.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
So Greenville,
well,
it is.
yeah, it is, because that's a town road.
Mhm.
So ATVs can't exceed the speed limits of 35 miles an hour.
right.
So that's a town road. So that's Dale, I'm assuming?
Yeah, you don't even need to put in a request for
No,
that.
it
is.
It's a-
That's
it's a named
Greenville.
road,
Yeah.
so you can,
So it's
It's
Greenville,
not a
it's a
county
named-
road.
Just
yeah,
do it.
it's a named road, it's not a county road, and it's not a state highway.
Okay.
But ATVs can only do 35 miles an hour,
Period.
and it's a 55-mile-an-hour zone, so they're just letting them know. So in reality, where we have on Highway 15, we go 100 feet to the east of Lake Street, because that's what the state allowed us. They put it out that far. So we should probably put a 35-mile-an-hour sign in that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. But most people who operate UTVs know that they can't exceed the speed limits of 35 miles an hour. She's shaking her head, so it's
was there a fee for the county? I forgot.
$250
$250 per
road,
per road.
per county road.
Okay.
But then it, like, for us, if we wanted to do double M, if Ellington doesn't do it, it doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
we're gonna pay $250 for a couple hundred feet.
Yeah.
It just, I know that there's talk, so don't quote me, but there's talk out there with county board members.
I just chewed one of them zero off this last weekend.
Yep. So, I don't know what that's gonna look like, if they're gonna open it up so it's more equivalent to Wapaka County, is what it may sound like, so.
Okay.
But you get up where Barr lives up there, they were one of the first municipalities to have it, and he's deadlocked everywhere he goes. You drive down a road, and then you hit a county road, and then you have to illegally drive the county road a quarter mile in order to
Get on
get on
the
another
road.
road. So, it just doesn't make sense out of Uni to have that, so.
Yeah.
And I think if you get enough municipalities that get them going, eventually the county will ease up.
Okay,
I had
connect.
spoken with the village board member, or, not, county board member last week myself, and he had asked me what my thoughts were, so.
Which
I told
one?
him what my thoughts were. I'm not gonna say it.
I have a relative on the phone.
Any other questions for Chris? Okay, we'll move to D.
Oh,
library.
actually, I had one. How's Yeehaw doing?
Doing good, he's off of training, today is actually his last official day where he's having somebody in squad, so on Sunday, he's gonna be in his own squad, so you'll see for the next night shifts, you're gonna see it's a shadowing phase, where Jason will be with him someplace else, he's gonna look for his ordinances, traffic stops, and if he needs help, and he's got somebody there and available.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to D. library director, and Ally is out.
Can I just, we had library board, I can just do a couple things on that.
Okay.
We told Ally to go ahead and fill the position that is open presently at 15 to 20 hours. I believe it was a little less than that, for the person that retired, but because one of the staff members had a death in her family, we're not sure when she'll be back, so we're gonna, let Ally have a little leeway there to fill more hours as needed to cover hers. They were at the Greenville Farmers Market yesterday doing some outreach, and I guess it went really well. And then at the board meeting, we also looked at the preliminary budget for 2023.
Okay. We'll go to E. attorney, and they are out. F. administrator.
I have a small report in the packet, still working on some budget numbers, getting some stuff in. Almost have some of the benefit charts that were requested, at the last meeting. We will be closing on August 29th for the sale of our land next to Alonzo Park. So that was approved as of 3 o'clock today. So, that will be going forward with, on August 29th. We had a resignation in the Public Works Department of our foreman, and we posted for street operator 1 today. That's on the league site and on our website. We also had the resignation of our rec director, due to graduating, or he doesn't want to put us in a bad spot next year if he does end up going somewhere that's not here. So he wanted to give us enough time so we can find a potential replacement. So, and that I think is done as of this week as well, the rec program, so, which was very successful. I had a few parents reach out to me and commend him as a director, and just all he's done for that program, so it was a nice call to hear, but
It's a busy program.
yeah. So that'll probably be at an
Easy
upcoming
program.
meeting to discuss what we want to do with that position there,
160.
so.
Any questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll move to G. building permit report. It is in the package. 11. communications and miscellaneous business. A. Black Otter Lake District News.
Completed the mailing, or putting together the mailing to all property owners and businesses. I was kind of a thorn in everybody's side in the office, but got it done. 1,200 pieces of mail are going out tomorrow. We're technically supposed to do that every year, so we're hoping that'll increase the attendance for the annual meeting, which is on the 22nd. And I think those of you who I saw your letter in there got it in your mailbox, and I don't know if that made it out here or not. We should, just so you know what we sent out. And if you can make it the 22nd, please come, 6 o'clock at Alonzo Park.
Is there elections that night, or
Yes.
what is like the agenda look like for that annual meeting?
It's in the letter, but I can kind of Yes,
I did
there's
read it.
one
Sorry.
commissioner position, so it'd be three.
The agenda, Julie,
Yeah.
that's right, I'm sorry.
That's okay,
Ignore
that's
me.
okay.
I was just, I didn't read it. It's been a long day, but thank
Today.
you.
Do they have a timeline for the culvert? No. I went and looked at it. It's not just cones. You can see it from a half a mile away. It's a road closed sign
I
up in the
know,
middle of the
I
trail.
know.
And if you look, about 3/4 of a mile before you get there, it says caution ahead on the sign on the side of the trail. Now,
Where?
it
The
wasn't
start
put
of the
there
tr-
on purpose because that's a snowmobile sign, but it's 3/4 of a mile before.
Oh, wow, that
Before,
little sign.
it's convenient because it's right on the side of the trail, it says
Oh.
caution ahead.
See
So it's
And
not
then
a
three-
new one?
No,
No.
no,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
Okay.
about a 1/4 of a mile further, then you see the collapsed culvert, because the sign is as big as one of these tables.
Yeah,
And it's cones around it.
yeah, I
And-
realize it is,
And
it's
then,
just,
so there actually is it wasn't intentional, but there is a sign there.
that's funny, okay, yeah, cause there's nothing new.
Yeah, because,
Put
yeah,
out there.
exactly, but I've been biking down the trail.
I guess
every
the
day.
concern I had was, you know, and like I said, I did it too, you go around the wheel and horses are going around, bikes are going around, and it's a pretty significant
Yeah,
hole that is probably gonna get bigger. But no, I don't have any updates, hopefully we'll know more at the annual meeting. The highway department, I think, was gonna be checking it out and getting quotes, am I right? Do you know, Nathan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go to B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News.
none.
Jack, do you have anything?
Now makes everybody look.
C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, there is none. D, Civic Association, Peter is out. E, Senior Activities Committee.
We had a meeting this afternoon to plan Autumn Fest. We'll be having food through Romy's. We're gonna be sending out, sponsor letters to try to generate some funding. The topic, or the theme of the day is gonna be History of Hortonville. We're gonna try to think of a, kind of a fun name for that. And then the full committee, where we invite other agencies to come in, is on the 25th of this month.
Okay, and we'll move to 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present, there are none. I would go to number 18 and need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.